Many WNBA fans are calling out the referee problem.
The referees literally turned their back.
Caitlin Clark appears to be hunted every game. She deals with physicality that no other player in the league is dealing with. The WNBA not stepping in to protect their cash cow, their only draw, their only star. And this is the end.
Everyone said she was the one to watch, the future of the league, ready to shake things up. But just a few games into her WNBA debut, it wasn't the competition or the spotlight that became her biggest challenge. It was the league itself. Caitlin Clark, once seen as the WNBA's rising star, is now the player taking the most heat on the court.
Shocking. Caitlin Clark will be sidelined for at least 2 weeks
with a quad injury.
This has emerged. How Caitlin Clark
fouls her for the 4th time. It's cheating.
Caitlin Clark is the driving force behind the interest in the Fever and the interest in the WNBA.
Rookie Caitlin Clark was subject to several
And it wasn't just the other teams. This wasn't your typical rookie growing pains. What we saw looked intentional and a lot more serious than just tough play.
Every single game, WNBA players, fans, coaches are all complaining about the referees, and they have shown that they're not going to change anything because the referees continue to be.
Game after game, Caitlin was getting hit hard, knocked down, and kept pushing through. But the whistles never came. The refs, the ones supposed to keep things fair, just stood there, silent. What started as a few missed calls turned into something more. Clear fouls were ignored as she kept hitting the floor. If you've had enough of this, drop a protect CC in the comments.
Head coach Stephanie White. She was complaining about her team not getting a whistle, not being
Then came the moment fans were dreading. Caitlin was benched with a quad injury. And just like that, people started looking back. All those missed calls, the hits no one flagged, the way she kept glancing at the refs, waiting for a whistle that never came. Suddenly, it all started to make sense.
Be out for 2 weeks minimum following a quad strain.
Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham going to the officials and trying to, ask for an explanation of what had just occurred. That official could.
By then, it didn't feel like bad luck. It felt planned. And right as the public started speaking out, major reports dropped, revealing big issues with how the league was being officiated.
WNBA problem. And as more and more eyeballs are watching this league, it becomes growingly an issue. The officiating feels you never have a true grasp.
Here's what shocked everyone. A lot of the league's refs came straight from high school games. That's right, high school. But it gets worse. They're not even calling the shots on their own. Behind the scenes, GMs, coaches, and league insiders are deciding how physical the games should be. And the refs are just following orders.
Listening to them. They're not listening to the coaches. They're not listening to the players. They're not listening to the fans. They're listening to their stakeholders. That's why I keep saying nothing is going to change till the mindset and whoever's running all of this, the stakeholders.
And at the heart of it all, Caitlin Clark, stuck in the middle of a clash between power, pride, and big money. After weeks of growing backlash, viral clips all over social media, and even players and coaches speaking out, the WNBA is finally under pressure to respond.
Injury does anything. It should be a wake-up call to the WNBA, the Players Association, the team owners, that just like that, all this fanfare, all this interest, all this newfound attention on the league can disappear.
With lawsuits being talked about and rumors of ref bias spreading fast, the league's biggest star could quickly turn into its biggest liability. Now the million-dollar question is, how far will the WNBA go to quiet the same player they've been profiting from since day one?
It's being roughed up, but the physical wear and tear on Caitlin Clark, I'm not surprised that 2 weeks into the season, she's...
Caitlin Clark has never backed down from pressure. At Iowa, she shattered records, filled arenas, and made women's basketball must-see TV. So when she joined the WNBA, fans were ready for sparks, not just from her skills, but from the excitement she brought to a league eager for its breakthrough.
2024 was a year of unprecedented growth in viewership in the WNBA, a substantial amount of which can be attributed to Caitlin Clark, who took the basketball world by storm after an all-time college career.
Who had appeared in 185 consecutive games between her career at Iowa and her time with the Indiana Fever. 139 games with the Iowa Hawkeyes. She never...
At first, things seemed to be falling into place. Attendance rose, TV ratings hit record numbers. But instead of a warm welcome, Clark met elbows, tough defense, and cold shoulders from day one.
Caitlin Clark, somebody who was responsible for 26.5 of all WNBA economic activity last season, including revenue from merchandise, ticket sales, and television.
Caitlin Clark out at least 2 weeks waited, but can the WNBA maintain without her? Can the WNBA pack arenas?
The moment Caitlin stepped onto the pro court, it wasn't just basketball anymore. It got personal. Every game felt like a fight. Defenders didn't just guard her, they hit her hard, like it was a different sport. She faced constant pressure, tough fouls, and rough hits more like rugby than basketball. And the refs? They were nowhere to be seen. Calls that any other star would get were ignored when it came to Clark. Time and again, she had to tough it out and keep going.
Just exposed her hand so bad, bro. I mean, they just didn't care no more. They didn't care. The world was watching how bad the cause was. They didn't care at all. They was going to get their issue off against the Fever no matter what. And I'm here to tell you, that's exactly what went down, bro. They have an agenda.
Through it all, the league kept saying the same thing. She just needs to adjust. But why is it always her who has to change? Why is Caitlin Clark the only star told to toughen up while others get treated like royalty? Then came the injury. After playing heavy minutes, often more than 35 per game, Caitlin was sidelined with a left quad strain and expected to miss at least 2 weeks.
Said the reason that people are complaining is because they haven't watched the WNBA before, and these are just new fans who don't understand. But there's clearly...
This wasn't just a setback. It was a hard hit for the Indiana Fever and a big loss for the entire WNBA. For many fans, it didn't seem like just bad luck. It felt like the cost of being overlooked. The result of a season full of rough play and a league that failed to protect the player carrying the spotlight.
The Fever guard, Caitlin Clark, has suffered a left quadricep strain and will be out for a minimum of...
This wasn't just bad luck. It was a disaster that could have been prevented. What hurt the most was the silence. The league said nothing about the hits Caitlin Clark took. No statements, no apologies, just another injury to add to the list. But this wasn't just any player. This was the face of the WNBA's future. Benched, not because she couldn't handle the pressure, but because the system that should have protected her turned a blind eye.
It's the Caitlin Clark disrespect. And what I mean by that is, you've got somebody who is obviously the most popular player in basketball. You got somebody that I would argue may be a top 5 most popular athlete in the United States of America. All right. You got this athlete in a league that nobody's been watching, never turned a profit, and your system is broken again.
Even those closest to her felt it. Caitlin's teammate, Kelsey Mitchell, gently warned her to listen to her body. A quiet sign Caitlin was pushing through pain most would have stopped for. Fans noticed, the media spoke. And now the big question is, why was the league's brightest star left so vulnerable? And who really gains from keeping her there?
Kelsey Mitchell said even if there is a injury, hopefully it's just, like a little nagging thing. And again,
take care of your body and just make sure you... I think recovery is everything. I think if you're in tune to your body, you know what you need.
Taking a closer look at WNBA officiating shows a major issue. Many referees aren't just inexperienced. They're underqualified. A lot comes straight from high school games, skipping important steps like college or the NBA G League. These aren't seasoned pros. They're learning on the job while handling some of the toughest games in the league. This lack of experience is especially obvious when it comes to managing the league's biggest star, Caitlin Clark.
and they do not talk about it here. And that's why I also don't want us to personally attack some of these referees. I think they're doing their job. If they're hiring referees who basically didn't have any experience but high school refereeing jobs, and then they did a stint in the G League, like, these referees actually aren't. I gained and reconfirmed with myself that.
But it gets even more complicated. These referees aren't making calls on their own. Behind the scenes, a competition committee, made up of coaches, general managers, and league insiders, decides how games should be officiated. These officials aren't neutral. They have their own interests. This isn't just a rumor. League insiders have confirmed it. Referees are told how much contact to allow, which fouls to overlook, and what kind of play fits the league's image, not what's actually fair on the court.
Committee for stakeholders, coaches, governors, and general managers, and that is saying what style of basketball they want to allow, and the referees are